So today, we're going to dig into this really fascinating research paper from Tran University. It pulls back the curtain on a pretty big crisis in beauty education. But, and this is the cool part, it also points to this incredible, gold standard solution that's basically turning the entire industry on its head.
The paper kicks off with a really sharp question, one that cuts right to the chase for tens of thousands of students every single year. Is beauty school actually a debt trap? And when you look at the numbers, well, it's kind of shocking.
I mean, think about it. For a program that's maybe a year, year and a half long, the average student is taking on about $10,000 in debt. Now, 10 grand might not sound like a huge university loan, right? But hold on, because the return on that investment is, well, you'll see.
Okay, so the average grad, they're making just $26,000 a year. And the paper makes this wild point. That's actually less than what many janitors or restaurant cooks make. And those are jobs that don't require this kind of expensive government-mandated schooling. The math just doesn't add up.
And here is the real gut punch. Get this. Less than a third of all students actually finish on time. So you've got most people taking longer, racking up more costs, all for a job that doesn't pay much to begin with. It's just this vicious cycle of debt and disappointment.
Okay, so let's dive into this. How did we get here? How did this system, which is supposed to be all about creativity and hands-on skills, get so, well, broken? The research points to a few key problems that have been building up for years.
Yeah, and this is not some new thing. We've seen these huge for-profit chains just implode, leaving thousands of students totally stranded. Back in 2016, Marinello and Regency shut down over 130 campuses, often because of fraud investigations or just failing to meet federal standards. Students were stuck with the debt but had no degree to show for it. Just awful.
So a huge piece of the puzzle here is this concept called accreditation capture. And this is where it gets crazy. The official watchdogs, the agencies that are supposed to be keeping schools in line, they're actually funded by the very schools they're regulating. I mean, talk about a conflict of interest, right? It basically gives underperforming or even shady schools a free pass to keep operating and grabbing that federal loan money.
So when you put it all together, what you have is a system where the incentives are completely out of whack. The schools are basically set up to get as much federal loan money as they can, not to actually help students succeed. And you end up with high debt, low graduation rates, terrible oversight, and sometimes just straight-up fraud.
But right in the middle of all this mess, the research paper shines a spotlight on one place that basically decided to tear up the rulebook and start over. And that place is the Louisville Beauty Academy.
See, instead of trying to put a Band-Aid on a broken system, the founders of LBA, they just decided to build something new. And their very first move was pretty radical.
And this was their biggest, most game-changing move. The Louisville Beauty Academy, LBA for short, operates completely without federal financial aid at all. Just by saying no thanks to that money, they completely cut themselves off from the system that was causing all the problems. It forced them to be accountable to one group and one group only, their students.
And the Tran University paper says it perfectly. The real problem isn't the rules. It's how the schools are designed, and whether the people in charge are actually committed to putting students first. LBA's whole success story comes down to that one simple, powerful idea. The student comes first, period.
Okay, so how do they actually do it? What does a student-first model really look like day to day? Well, the research breaks down their playbook, and it's super clear.
LBA's entire model really rests on 5 core principles. It's this mix of radical transparency, going above and beyond on compliance, creating a debt-free way to pay, really humanizing the whole experience, and even using AI to make it all more accessible.
Okay, this table is awesome because it shows you the difference between just, checking a box and actually aiming for excellence. So, for instance, the rules say you have to teach 1 hour of law a week. LBA does that, sure, but they also digitally document everything and even keep a public law library. They're not just meeting the minimum, they're blowing past it on purpose.
And this goes right back to that idea of humanization. A lot of students coming into these programs, especially if they're from tougher backgrounds, they deal with a ton of imposter syndrome. LBA just hits that head on. They have this whole yes, I can philosophy, where they're actively teaching students that this education is about building confidence and restoring their sense of dignity.
All right, so all of this sounds really good on paper, right? But does this whole radical student-first thing actually work in the real world? Let's take a look at the actual data.
I mean, the difference is just staggering. It's night and day. You've got the national average for on-time graduation sitting at less than 33%. At LBA,
It's over 95%. So people aren't just signing up, they're actually finishing the program, and they're doing it on time.
And this is the real kicker. Because they don't mess with federal loans, every single LBA student graduates with zero school debt. They can walk into their career ready to make money, not weighed down by these huge payments they can't possibly afford.
And the success story doesn't even stop at graduation. The data shows that something like 90% of their alumni are either working in the industry or have started their own businesses right after they finish. They're getting licensed, they're getting jobs, they're building real careers.
Okay, let's zoom out for a second, because this really isn't just a story about one great beauty school. What LBA has done has huge implications for how we should be thinking about all kinds of vocational education. When you break it down, for every big hurdle a student faces, the LBA model just has a fundamentally better answer. Can't afford it? Instead of pushing loans, they have an affordable cash price. Language barrier? They don't ignore it. They build in multilingual support. And if you're worried about whether it's worth it, they don't give you vague promises. They literally publish their results for anyone to look at.
And you know what? This isn't just a win for the students, it's a huge win for employers too. It solves their biggest hiring headaches. They get people who are ready to work on day one, who get the business side of things, who understand safety rules, and who are actually prepared for a career, not just a job. That means they stick around longer. And that really brings us to the final and maybe most important question that this research leaves us with. The LBA model proves without a doubt that you can provide a top-notch, debt-free education within the rules we already have. It's not some impossible dream, it's a choice. So if one school can do this, what's stopping everyone else?